Hey guys, it's Jen here, and welcome to another edition of supporting. I don't even know what we're calling this. Love Local. I'm just gonna call it Love Local. Just gonna roll with
That sounds great.
it. Hi guys, Jen here. Welcome to another edition of Love Local, talking about how we can support small businesses. Right now, I have the privilege of sitting down with James from Chez Angela. How are you doing, James?
Hey, I'm doing really good, Jen. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, do you want to just take a moment to tell us a little bit about your business?
Yeah, so I mean, as most people will know, like a bakery is kind of a thing that people do understand or whatever. One of the things that kind of sets us apart and one of the things that we do differently is that everything is number one, it's from scratch here in our bake shop. And number two, we use as many local ingredients as possible. Whenever possible, we're using stuff that's right here in Westman and then Manitoba, then Canada. Things like lemons, harder to come by in Brandon. Not a lot of lemon
Not a
growers
lemon tree?
here.
No lemon
No,
trees for you?
but we love using, like we try and use, we don't skimp on anything. We use premium products, and we do that because we believe that food is better for you. It's better for your gut when it comes from whole ingredients and from wholesome ingredients. So there's no preservatives. The only time we use any kind of artificial colors would be as if somebody's asking us to color their icing, for example, or whatever. But if you come in and you see a yellow lemon tart, that's because that's, like we go through 80 pounds of lemons a week, and we use real egg yolks to make the curd. So it looks yellow because it comes from yellow things. So those kinds of things, we don't put any food coloring in them. And so for us, yeah, like, we have the bake shop, and then accidentally we became a restaurant as well. So we have a whole line of sandwiches and salads. We do soups from scratch. We make our own pizza dough, and we have a nice hot oven. And so we make pizzas as well. There's all kinds of things that we do like that. And then over time, this is kind of the theme and the soundtrack of COVID-19 is kids playing and dancing and singing in the background, right? That's like,
We're
don't
just
worry. That's
gonna go with it. Like we're all working from home,
Yeah,
so
exactly. This is
not pretend.
um, so like one of the biggest changes for us obviously has been trying to figure out how to continue to serve the community when we have to shut down our cafe. So I mean, in further enhanced measures, they keep coming down on how to to act. And we've been really proud of our staff because we've been ahead of these things at almost every step. Like we were already down to allowing only 12 people into our cafe at once. Today the order came down to 10, so we're going to make an adjustment and put um, a sign up saying that there's only allowed 10 patrons at a time. But in terms of sanitization, we've never required employees who are sick to get a doctor's note. All of those things, we've been ahead of the curve on all of that stuff. But now, with these extra changes and everything, we're just having to dial a few more things. But our obviously, because we've closed our cafe seating, our dining area sales have evaporated.
Right.
And so that's a huge change for us. And we did have to make the unfortunate call and let put a couple of people on layoff for the time being, simply because we had to close a couple of days a week. We weren't able to keep the production up. It was a whole shift in production for us. And and because we had to close a couple of days, we didn't need quite as many staff. So that's changing really quickly. And we've been ramping back up, changing our product line, changing how people can access our food and our services. And it's just required us to be so dynamic. It's exhausting. Like one of the things that I really want to point out too is that, if you see like the videos coming out like on our social media and stuff like that, there's a lot of jokes in there and a lot of humor or like bad dad jokes anyways.
Isn't there always?
But more than ever, because for me, like being completely vulnerable here for a second, I deal with stress by trying to be funny. Like you should have seen how many times I almost got kicked out of the childbirth scenario when my wife was in labor. Like I had to, like the nurses were not happy with me at all. But that when I'm stressed out, I try and react in humor. And so every time you see James making a joke on social media right now, it's probably because I'm stressed out. If you're out there and you're feeling like that, you're not alone.
Right.
We're all trying to figure this out, and the new normal on the other side of whatever this is going to look differently.
Yeah.
So for us, yeah, it's how do we how do we adapt? How do we, so we're doing things now. We started releasing multi-meal kits. And so they change every week so that people can just say, do you know what? If you're at home, or you need to be staying at home, if it's, like a mandatory self-isolation, or even if you're just not comfortable going out, if you're a vulnerable person, and then we'll just deliver. And it's, there's a very, very, it's really easy to get over a minimum. If it's somebody who's sick, it's $10. If you place an order for $10, we'll deliver for free. If you're on mandatory isolation. And then otherwise for families, we're doing things like we've got take and make pizza kits. So it has the two balls of pizza dough, our homemade sauce, premium Bothwell matzah, and you just take that home and you and the kids can make pizzas together. We have fruit and veggie packs, because if you're doing bread, like we've got honey and we've got olive oil and those kinds of things. And if you want to add on some fruits and veggies, then we can do that as well, because we've got them here in our kitchen. So we're becoming more like a market now. We were a bakery, and we accidentally became a restaurant. And then in the face of change here, we're now kind of becoming a market. So we're doing frozen lasagna, we're doing frozen chicken pot pie. We've got take and bake cookies that we're doing as well, so you can buy our cookies frozen and just take them home. So we're just trying to stay viable, and trying to stay in a position where we're serving our customers as best we can.
Amazing. And I love one of the things you touched on there, talking about like the new normal on the other side of this. And I think that's so relevant to consider is change is hard, and profound, rapid change is even harder. And there's not anyone that hasn't been impacted by this in some way or another.
And virtually no one with experience in this kind of change.
No one with experience, and all of us impacted, but all of us impacted by the same thing in different ways. But I think you're absolutely right that change is hard enough as it is, but I think we also need to recognize whenever the dust settles that it's not just going to be flipping a switch and life back to how it was at the beginning of March. Like there's going to be some changes and some shifts happening for sure moving forward.
Absolutely. We have a meeting with our staff almost every day. We're talking with them through things because people have stress. There's anxiety over job loss. You're worried about family members, vulnerable grandparents. We've got staff members who have family in different provinces or even overseas, and they can't go and visit them, and there's you keyed in on that idea about change. And we've talked as a group here, as a staff, that change is loss. It doesn't matter if it's good change or it's bad change. When there's change, you've lost something.
Yes.
Sometimes it's for the best, but you can still have a period of mourning, even when you lose a good thing, right? One of the great examples that I was given actually when I was younger was that when you go from being an engaged couple to a married couple, that changes things. And there is loss because you're no longer in that courtship but I mean, marriage is a good thing. It's a wonderful thing, and it takes your life is in a whole new direction, but you're out of that original piece. And so if something that's so good can still have loss in it as well, we have to be mindful of our staff and about each other and our neighbors and those vulnerable in our family. And so this is like a really great chance for, as a community, just to collectively breathe in and breathe out, and then think about the people that we care about and reach out to them and be there and help walk through this loss, not just the change, but the loss.
I love that, actually. And I had been chatting with a friend, I think it was just yesterday maybe, about how, like I said, I wonder if what this all is, if what we're all experiencing is like profound grief for everyone. And essentially what you said, like one change to another, we're going to mourn the loss of something, which is basically the description of grief. So we're like grieving what our lives were like before, but all of us are moving through it at the same time, but the emotions are so different, right? Like,
and everybody, like, you can have somebody who is who really struggles with change in the first place, even small change, it's not easy to do. And then when everybody that is also going through it, there's not really many people to lean on, right? So it's the important things, and we're totally not talking about our bake shop right now, but there's the important things. It's like, call somebody, like still have community. Just because we can't see each other doesn't mean we can't connect. Get out and have a walk. Exercise is incredible for us. Do some meditation, do some yoga or something like that, and just like find peace in
I
it.
didn't have to say that, by the way. That was as his own advice. It was like, this is not paid.
Jenn is not paying me to talk about her yoga. She invited me on to talk about the bake shop. So no. No, these are just all really good things. Eat healthy food, like pronounce your ingredients. Like these things are really good. Spend time with your family and kids. And I like, the one observation that Angie and I were talking about at home was how we're going on way too long. I know, but hey, whatever. One of the things that we were talking about at home was, you know what, people might just get to the other side of this and think, the stores were closed at 6 p.m. And I had to do a little bit more planning to get my groceries together. And I had to spend more time with my kids, or I got to spend more time with my kids, and we're still here. We're okay. Right? This wasn't as bad as it felt like it was going to be. And there may be some really good positive shifts in, dependencies on consumerism and things like that we get to move away from through this. But yeah, for the time being, it's identifying what this is and how we get to the other side of this and what it's going to look like when we get there. So
totally. Yeah. And I love that you guys are just adapting on the fly and asking, like, what are we able to offer right now? What is our community needing right now? And that's literally changing day by day, if not hour by hour at this point in time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that, like, we're not, we're very fortunate to have an involved and dedicated staff, as well as an engaged, customer base, and people are coming to us and saying, hey, can you do these kinds of things? A lot of it we say no, because it's just not in our wheelhouse, but there's things that we can do to add on just a little bit, and it makes it a little bit easier, like finding a balanced meal kit and saying, you know what, this is going to give you breakfast and a lunch and a couple of suppers and probably a dessert, and you don't have to go out and shop. We can do a touch-free delivery to your doorstep, and that solves a bit of a problem for someone. Actually, many of our customers on those meal kits it's been like a son or a daughter or an aunt or an uncle, and they're buying the meal kit for somebody who's just returned home, and they're on 14-day quarantine and they can't get out. And so this makes it very easy for them to come home, and these are semi-prepared meals or prepared meals, and they can just chill and eat good food and those kinds of things. If you're looking for ways to support small businesses like ours, like many of the small businesses, one of the things that we really appreciate right now is buying gift cards and then redeeming them later. So like later on, because if everybody buys a gift card and then you all come in at the same time, that can have a really negative impact on a business as well, right? Because if the monies are collected ahead of time to help, and it does help, but then it's all redeemed on day one after things happen, then, that money's already spent and whatnot. So that's one thing. But we've tried to be creative, and we have a couple of other options as well. So we have our bread subscriptions that we do. And a bread subscription is a way to get a fresh baked loaf of bread. We do a tour of the world. There's all kinds of things. We do breads from across Canada, from across like the old Anadama style bread from the northeast of the United States. We go European bread, so from Germany and Switzerland and Spain and France, of course, and Italy. And so we do different kinds of breads and themes. And so over the course of the year, you get a loaf of bread, 50 weeks out of the year. You get a celebration cake. You get Angie's test kitchen emails for an insider thing of upcoming products and first chance to answer stuff. And you pay that up front. You get a discount on it. And then what that does is right now is it kind of gets us into a situation where over the next year, we can develop a relationship with you. And then customers can start to think of their local bakery as part of their grocery run. And so that's really what we're trying to do and try to achieve there.
Cool. So gift cards, bread subscriptions, and anything else that the community can do to support you guys at Chez Angela right now?
Those are the key things for us. Just keeping in mind that we're open, thinking about us when you're doing things like lunches at work. We have what we call socially distant lunch combos. So if there's 10 people or 20 people at the office, we put everything into lunch bags so that when it gets to your place, you can just hand them out. And that keeps our staff working because we've lost those lunchtime meals
Right.
largely in Café, well, entirely in Café. Having an outbound version of meal delivery really helps us out, and it definitely transforms the work that's available to our staff. So keeping us in mind really is the thing. And yeah, if there is a friend or a neighbor or a loved one or someone in your community that's in need and they could use a bit of a pick me up, then for deliveries $35 and over, we do that for free. And you can just call us and we'll connect you with the right food and get it to where it needs to go. And all of those things help.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, James, for joining us today. It's a pleasure as always to chat, and I love what you guys are doing, adapting on the fly. And I will look forward to, actually, just even this morning, I had a home possession, so I sent James a text and asked for some goodies to be boxed up, and they're ready in 20 minutes. Went down there, picked the box up out the door. So yeah, I appreciate that so much.
And I really appreciate what you guys are doing, helping to focus on local businesses. And so thank you very much for that. And thank you to the community at Broad. You guys are you're selling us out every day. We're just so fortunate to be embraced by this community. And we always say that together we're writing the story of great baking in Westman. And we really feel validated in the support that we've gotten over the last few weeks from this community. So
love that.
Local love. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. We're so fortunate to live here for sure. So thank you, James. Thank you to Angie, all your staff. You guys are doing a great job.